Right now, Beloit police released the name of the man killed in a shooting last week. What we know is the investigation into the homicide continues. Plus, dozens are injured after a terrorist attack in New Orleans, the Wisconsin family impacted by the tragic incident. And the city of Madison is under investigation. What the Wisconsin Elections Commission is doing to make sure hundreds of ballots don't go missing in the future. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Thank you for joining us. Cold air continues to move through southern Wisconsin, but bright side, snow looks to stay out of the forecast. Alex has more on the dry conditions ahead. Alex?
Yeah, Armand, if you want snow, unfortunately, it's not in the forecast, but if you don't want the snow, well, there's, again, not a lot in the forecast. But we do have plenty in the forecast, cold temperatures. Although before we leave the snow, let's take a look at Radar 3000. There are a couple flurries off towards the north and towards the west, so don't be surprised if you're tuning in up towards Viroqua, maybe up towards Camp Douglas, that you might see a flurry or two yet tonight. Not expecting widespread snow tonight, according to Future Track. And I think tonight the snow showers will just dwindle. Eventually, that cold air is really going to take over as dry air moves in with the temperatures cooling on down. We're at 22 in Madison. Not too bad yet, but as we get a little bit further into the night and as you wake up Friday morning, it will be replaced by breezy conditions and much colder temperatures. We can plan the rest of our night tonight. By the time you get up around 4 or 5 o'clock, maybe 6 o'clock, you're thinking about getting ready for school if school started back up for you again. Closing in on 0 degree wind chills, if not below 0 wind chills in some parts of southern Wisconsin. So pretty big change from where we are right now at 10 p.m. to as you wake up tomorrow morning. Not dangerously cold wind chills, but certainly cold enough. Those wind chills are already in the single digits above 0 to the north and west of Richland Center, still hanging on to 22 in Madison. And that's the warm spot because we don't have much of a breeze, at least not yet, in Madison right now. Future Track wind chills again tomorrow morning going on towards the noon hour will be at 0, if not a little bit below 0. When we can expect 10 below 0 wind chills. And what about that Sunday weather event? What's the latest on that? We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Alex, thank you. We now know the name of the woman killed in a shooting in New Lisbon on Monday. The New Lisbon Police Department has identified her as Elizabeth Kalba. The names of the two other victims are being withheld, but their ages are 12 and 13. Virgil Thu is the person of interest in the deaths of the three people. In a Facebook post, the Juneau County Sheriff's Office says this photo was taken at a Dollar General on Sunday. Monday, 1 adult and 2 minors were found dead at a home along West Bridge Street. Thu is considered armed and dangerous. If you see him, do not approach and call 911. And we also now know the name of the Beloit man who died in a shooting last week. The Beloit Police Department has identified the man as Gregory Ashford. Ashford was shot on Oak Street last Thursday. A woman is being treated for non-life-threatening injuries related to that shooting. She's expected to make a full recovery. Police say the shooting is being investigated as a homicide. Anyone with information on the shooting should contact Greater Beloit Area Crime Stoppers. A family reunion in Wisconsin is interrupted after a father becomes the victim of an alleged drunk driving accident. Jorge flew into Chicago from Mexico to reconnect with his dad, Alberto. But when Alberto didn't show up at the train station to pick him up, Jorge says he panicked. Alberto was in the hospital with multiple broken bones, a brain bleed, and damage to his heart. Police say a drunk driver hit him on Saturday while he was in downtown Waukesha and left him in the street.
My dad is my hero. You know, he came all this time ago here and worked hard for us to give us everything. You know, he helps all the family there in Mexico. And, you know, in one word, he's my hero.
On Monday, the woman accused of hitting Alberto faced a judge. Tara Felton is charged with hit and run and intoxicated use of a vehicle, her third OWI. The family started a GoFundMe to help cover the cost of growing medical bills. And a kindergartner is dead after an accident involving a bus at Silver Spring Intermediate School in Sussex. The Hamilton School District Superintendent says the student was at SSI to get on a shuttle bus heading to Willow Springs Learning Center. According to the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department, the student was struck by a bus in the parking lot. The bus was carrying students at the time. The cause of the crash is under investigation. The bus driver is fully cooperating with law enforcement. The man found unresponsive while in Madison police custody has died. The Wisconsin Department of Justice says the man was a suspect in a vehicle theft at the Best Western Hotel on Anamark Drive. Madison police took him into custody after a chase on foot. The man was found unresponsive after arriving at the Dane County Jail. He was taken to a hospital for treatment where he later died. The State Department of Justice is leading the investigation into the incident. And we're learning more about the man the FBI says is responsible for the New Year's Day terror attack in New Orleans. The FBI now says the driver who plowed into a crowd of people in a pickup truck acted alone. Investigators call the actions of Shamsuddin Jabbar an act of terror, saying the U.S. citizen and Army veteran proclaimed his support for ISIS in several videos he posted shortly before the attack.
In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote.
Authorities say 14 people were killed and dozens more were injured in the attack. Security has been ramped up, including heavier equipment to block the intersections. And a Wisconsin family is in New Orleans right now and is among those impacted by the terror attack. St. Mary Springs graduate Billy Schrouth is a starting lineman for Notre Dame. His family traveled there for the game and was in the French Quarter a short time before the attack.
We woke up to text messages this morning from friends and stuff, are we okay and this and that.
The Schrouth family's New Year's Eve trip to New Orleans was supposed to be a celebration, but now
the authorities have asked that we stay in our hotels today as much as possible.
Campbellsport native Billy Schrouth has been a key cog in leading Notre Dame this season. His parents Jenna and Tim spent part of Tuesday afternoon in the French Quarter before heading back to their hotel.
And it was just a ton of people. But we were not down there last evening.
It feels familiar to many in southeastern Wisconsin. The similarities to the 2021 Waukesha Christmas parade attack are undeniable.
Suspect goes around a police barricade. Law enforcement is present and still has managed to get on the parade route.
Former Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Brian Doro said the motives behind the two may be different, but trying to prevent them is the same.
But you're going to see changes in the way we do business and perhaps even industry standards for what is needed.
Doro said physical barriers and a law enforcement presence can only do so much to prevent an attack, especially if the attacker has little regard for their own life. The Dancing Grannies posted about the New Orleans attack, writing, "It's a long, hard road. While you will never be the same, healing is possible." The Sugar Bowl game was postponed and rescheduled for Thursday at 3 p.m. local time. There is still uncertainty and concern on the streets of New Orleans, but the Schrouths will be in the stands cheering on Billy while also being cognizant of their surroundings.
Hopefully they're hollow threats, but obviously there's concern for everybody's safety.
The Schrouths say they were able to push their flight back a day and keep their hotel another night, a situation thousands of people are in. And the act of terror raises questions about pedestrian safety at events around the country. Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes says the city rents metal barricades for special events to protect people from vehicle collisions, whether intentional or not. And in a statement to News 3, UWPD's Mark Lovicott says during Badger football games, campus police use a combination of specialized barricades and squad cars to block off city streets. Barnes adds that before any public event, MPD puts together an operational plan to identify vulnerable areas and train officers to best handle emergencies.
Simply put, if someone is intent on causing harm in a vehicle and there's a roadway or a area that they can drive on, even if it's grass, they'll do that. And so what we try to do is make it as inconvenient as possible and give us enough time to recognize that this person has ill intent, and then we can respond as quickly as possible.
The executive director of Madison's Central Business Improvement District tells News 3 Now that to prepare for large events, they close streets and reroute buses, train staff in crowd management, and attend the city's community event safety conference. The city of Madison is coming under scrutiny after city officials found close to 200 ballots that were not counted during the November election. Just today, the Wisconsin Elections Commission voted unanimously to launch an investigation. They want to know how these 193 absentee ballots were lost by City of Madison officials. This is the first time the bipartisan commission is launching an investigation like this. Commissioners said during a special meeting that they're concerned about some of the transparency coming from the city.
This was my biggest concern here, is why it took a month and a half for this to come out. And that's very, very disturbing.
That sort of transparency is just sort of missing here. So we can't be a part of the solution until we know what went wrong, and unfortunately we just don't right now.
In response to the investigation, Madison's mayor tells us she will work with the investigation. She says in a statement that, quote, "I agree that an investigation can help provide transparency and accountability, as well as hopefully provide lessons that all Wisconsin clerks can learn to prevent similar errors in the future," end quote. Tomorrow, the 119th Congress will be sworn in. That includes Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin. After her swearing in, Baldwin will highlight what are her priorities for the upcoming term in a press conference. This video is from 2019 when she last sworn in. You can watch coverage of that right here on News 3 Now. And also tomorrow, the House votes to elect a speaker for the new Congress. If Congressman Mike Johnson keeps his gavel, he'll have the narrowest House majority in nearly 100 years. Republicans won 220 House seats in the November election. Democrats won 215. But the partisan breakdown could actually be 217 to 215. Two GOP lawmakers are expected to join the Trump administration, and GOP Representative Matt Gaetz is not planning to return to Congress. These tight margins make it difficult for GOP leaders to swiftly enact Donald Trump's agenda. Wisconsin Democratic Party Chair Ben Wickler has the support of a big backer on the national stage. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer endorsed Wickler to be the next Democratic National Committee chair. In a statement, Schumer highlighted Wickler's fundraising success here in Wisconsin. Quote, "He's a tenacious organizer, one of the best organizers in the country, a proven fundraiser, a sharp communicator, and able to reach out to all segments of the Democratic Party. Most importantly, he knows how to win," end quote. Wickler has chaired the Wisconsin Democratic Party since 2019. Well, when we come back, Alex tells us about the cold but dry weekend ahead and norovirus surges across the country, what you can do to stop the outbreak of the disease. That's next at 10.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Welcome back. Cases of the stomach bug norovirus are on the rise in parts of the U.S. Recent data from the CDC shows there were 91 outbreaks the week of December 5th, up from 69 the last week of November. Symptoms can include vomiting and diarrhea, nausea and stomach pain, body aches, headache, and fever. The illness is highly contagious and not easily treatable.
There's really no specific treatment for norovirus. The key is to stay hydrated. So especially little infants, the elderly may have trouble keeping up with that. So that is the key to treating this.
Preventing norovirus comes down to washing hands well, not preparing food if you're showing symptoms, and cleaning surfaces with disinfectants. Veterinarians are sharing tips on how to keep your pets safe as bird flu spreads throughout the country. If a cat gets H5N1, it can be deadly 75% to 100% of the time. Wild geese and ducks are two of the most common bird flu carriers veterinarians are warning against. Feeding your cats a raw food diet or giving them raw milk. Symptoms a cat could experience include lethargy, breathing issues, and a slew of neurological symptoms similar to rabies, like drooling, inability to walk or circle walking, and seizures. It's a problem that millions of Americans face. Lower back pain can have a significant impact on your body, but there's a path to relief without medication. Mandy Gaither has more on how one exercise may help lessen the pain.
It's a common complaint. Data from a national health interview survey showed 39% of all U.S. adults reported back pain in 2019. The percentage of adults who experienced it increased with age. More than 45% of those aged 65 and older reported this pain, and women were found to be more likely to experience back pain than men.
New research suggests there's an easy way to possibly prevent it. And that's by simply walking, simply moving. A recent study linked walking to fewer flare-ups and backaches, and we know that walking is good for the entire body.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta says walking helps strengthen muscles, improves metabolism, and more. But if you're just starting out, he cautions not to try to do too much at first.
Make sure to vary your pace and distance throughout the week, especially if you're in pain. Also consider adding resistance training and stretching, particularly back exercises, to your routine.
And if you plan to start walking, Gupta says what you wear on your feet is also important so that you don't injure other parts of your body.
Experts also recommend getting proper fitting shoes with good arch support. Very important for your hips and your back.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The CDC says common causes of lower back pain include heavy manual labor, sitting for long periods of time, or sudden movements, but it can also be caused by certain medical conditions, including sprains, spinal stenosis, and arthritis. And the next couple of days will feel like January, but not look like it. Isn't that right, Alex?
Yes, that's right. That's that deceptive look outside. You step outside, it's sunny, and you see grass, you're thinking, hey, it's going to be mild out there. But not so much. The weather that we're going to be experiencing wind chill-wise here, we can use our wind chill chart. And I know it looks like a lot of numbers, and it is, but let me explain this here. Across the top, temperatures getting down into the single digits above zero at nighttime, and then you follow the winds getting upwards of 15 miles per hour, maybe 20. That puts our wind chill values generally between the single digits above zero and about as cold as 10 below zero these next two mornings. At least it's not the dangerously cold wind chills that we can sometimes get in January going on into February. So we're going to have prolonged cold, but not as dangerously cold as we certainly could get. 22 out there right now. The wind chill is 22 because there is no wind right outside. And I just felt that out on the patio. But that's going to change as we plan through the rest of the night. The winds are eventually going to ramp up. And I want you to look at these numbers here. 14, 12, 5, 4, and then 1 by 6 a.m. That's because the winds are going to start to ramp up. So even though temperatures in the morning will be in the lower teens, the wind chill values are going to be colder than that. We've got teens above zero. We've got single digits above zero off to the northwest. Wind chill wise, and you may be wondering, well, why aren't you showing me the temperature the thermometer would read? This is what your body acclimates to, is the wind chill, which is why we'll continue to emphasize this throughout this prolonged cold period. Could feel as cold as -3 waking up Friday morning off to work, or some of you are back at school. 0 in Janesville, a -7 is that feels like factor Friday morning up in Camp Douglas. And then the double digits below 0, as cold as -15 in Camp Douglas, -10 in Madison, and -6 in Janesville. Even the single digits below 0 over portions of southwestern Wisconsin. Why? The winds are going to ramp up. And when you see the oranges here and the yellows, that's winds getting upwards of 25 to 30 miles per hour in the gust range. That carries on to this time Friday night. It carries on into Saturday, at least the morning hours, before those winds will ease up just a bit. So recap with the temps: -5 to wake up to Friday morning, -10 to wake up to Saturday morning, and staying cold through the entire next week. Now, this weather system we've been talking about too is gaining strength over portions of the northwestern United States. It's going to swing down into the plains, but this weather system is likely going to stay to the south of southern Wisconsin. And 2 reasons why we likely won't get decent amount of snow, keeping the grass out there and not the snow. First, the snow is going to be moving into a very dry air mass. And secondly, the weather track is going to go quite a bit further to the south. So not expecting big snow chances with this weather event at this point in time as it battles the cold, dry air. And that track stays to the south, southern Wisconsin, and it stays dry but cold through the 10-day.
And coming up in sports, Badgers blank the Buckeyes. How Wisconsin skated past Ohio State with ease. That's next on News 3 Now. Pretty much all you have to say to set up this series is it's Wisconsin versus Ohio State. For the 9th straight time, it's a showdown between the top 2 ranked teams in the land. Oh, by the way, they're the last 2 national champions, too. The Buckeyes handed the Badgers their only loss of the year back in November, and in the words of Taylor Swift, "It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me." Well, that's what Lacey Eden said to the Ohio State defenders. She finds Cassie Hall, and just like that, it's 2-0 Wisconsin. But the lamp was far from done being lit. Still in the first period, Badgers now on the power play, and Maggie Scannell cleans up the mess in front of the net to make it a 3-goal game. Wisconsin dominates Ohio State. 6-0 is your final. Wrigley is up next. The first time the Wisconsin men's hockey team faced off against Michigan State, the Spartans were ranked number 1, and the Badgers took 4 of the possible 6 points from them in the series and then bounced them from the top spot in the rankings. Mike Hastings' squad looking to do it again against the nation's number 1 team. Tied at 1 in the second, Badgers on the power play, and the captain, Owen Lindmark, puts his team in front off the rebound. Wisconsin had a 2-goal lead in this one, but Michigan State came all the way back. Former Badger Charlie Stramel gets the game winner. Wisconsin falls 4-3. Well, speaking of Badger hockey, come on out to Pooley's Sports Bar in Madison on Monday, January 6th for a live taping of the next episode of Wisconsin Huddle with Layla Edwards. Taping starts at 7. We hope to see you there. Wisconsin men's basketball hasn't played a game since last year. Kind of a Greg Gard dad joke there, but it is true. December 22nd was the last time his team played a game. Since then, they've got some time off, and then it's just been practice, practice, and more practice against themselves. So you could say the Badgers are looking forward to tomorrow's game against the Hawkeyes.
For sure, I feel like it was a year ago that we played Detroit Mercy, so we're excited to get more so than anything to get into Big Ten play for sure.
We've got deep water in front of us with 18 really good league games coming at us, but they're excited to be back. They know where we're at, how good we can be, and now it's why you do this. You want to get to games. Practice is great, and I really try to make practice really super fun and put a lot of frosting on it and everything, but they know they want games.
And 3 Packers have been selected to this year's Pro Bowl. Rashawn Gary and Xavier McKinney were named Pro Bowlers for the first time in their careers, while Josh Jacobs earned his 3rd Pro Bowl nod, obviously a first as a member of the Pack. We're back after this.
Well, workers digging up clay in a southern England quarry noticed some unusual bumps, leading to the discovery of a lifetime. Those bumps turned out to be nearly 200 dinosaur tracks dating back 166 million years ago. Researchers say 4 of the sets of tracks belong to sauropods, while a 5th set belongs to the Megalosaurus, the first dinosaur to be scientifically named over 2 centuries ago in 1824.
Trying to think of what to say. Normally I'm pretty quick-witted, but I guess not.
It's just starstruck. It's so cool, though. That's awesome.
It is awesome. Speaking of science, how about some weather science?
There we go.
There's the transition.
Segue.
I did it. Teens for highs during the day, near 20 at best. Overnight lows in the single digits. The only chances for snow, and they're not high chances, Sunday and then the following Sunday. And this upcoming Sunday's weather system likely going to stay to our south because of the overall track. We'll go through the Ohio River Valley and we'll have pretty dry air in place. But if you've got the Packers game on your mind, temperatures in the teens, sunny.
I feel like a fossil in that weather, that's for sure. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow on News 3 Now.